It became a time where, like, when we was getting together, it just wasn't connecting. And I was just like, ain't no money in the group. You know what I'm saying? Like, we're not going to the studio together. I'm doing a feature. People calling for the City Girls. You know, it's either me or it's you. It just wasn't connecting no more. And I just felt like that's what really made me, like, start my own brand. Like, I got to do something because I'm in this group. The group ain't making no money.
Young Miami recently chatted with Saucy Santana on her podcast, Caresha Please, and spoke about Diddy for the first time since his legal trouble started. As you probably know, Diddy's been under serious federal scrutiny lately, especially after being sued by Cassie and his producer, Lil Rod. Things have been rough for him, with accusations ranging from domestic violence to sexual assault and even trafficking. Young Miami got mixed up in some of Diddy's drama too. Lil Rod's lawsuit claimed that Young Miami was Diddy's escort and allegedly involved in drug use and trafficking. Plus, Young Miami herself added fuel to the fire by making comments about Diddy's girlfriend, Gina V, which seemed to match up with Cassie's accusations about Diddy forcing her to do things while she was under the influence. Despite the mess, Young Miami did benefit from her time with Diddy. He helped her launch her podcast, Caresha Please, on his Revolt network, which he no longer owns, and even invested in her merch like candles. He also introduced her to high-profile events like the Met Gala, which helped boost her brand. At one point, Young Miami felt she didn't need her group, the City Girls, as much, especially since they were struggling financially before she hooked up with Diddy. Given the struggles of her group, it's easy to see why Young Miami turned to someone like Diddy, who seemed like a golden opportunity to boost her career and finances. Diddy's a millionaire and a big player in hip-hop, so at the time, Young Miami probably saw him as a major break. She felt like he could help her go solo, and she talked about it in her interview. She mentioned how Diddy would hype her up, say he believed in her, and invest in her, tying her brand closely to his own. But here's the thing. It feels like Young Miami traded a lot for Diddy's support. She gave up parts of her brand and even her own image to benefit from his money and connections, which helped her gain more fame. Everything seemed to be going well until Diddy's downfall. When his problem started, Young Miami's world came crashing down too. Watching her podcast interview, it's clear she's in a rough spot. She used to seem like she had it all, but now she's opening up about feeling sad, lonely, and struggling. Her brand is falling apart, she's lost money, and her music isn't doing well. It's like she's lost a lot, and you can really see the impact it's had on her.
One minute I'm kind of like, fuck this shit. And then the next minute, I'm looking at my kids and I'm like, I ain't bring us this far to go backwards.
Yeah.
I work hard. You get what I'm saying? Like, I put in a lot of time and effort in this shit.
So you've heard a bit about what Young Miami is going through, and honestly, people feel some sympathy for her. Not everyone does. Comments online say things like, Miami thought she was above JT because she was frolicking around with Diddy, and well, played with the tears though. And also, she don't regret it. The only reason she's saying this is because of the backlash Diddy is receiving. Nice acting on her part though. But still, there's a group that does. Maybe this whole PR sympathy thing is working for some. Regardless of whether it's for publicity or not, her tears seem genuine. Even though she's not completely innocent, she's still human, and you gotta give her props for being open about her feelings. It's probably also thanks to Saucy Santana that we saw this side of her. He's clearly a good friend. Young Miami finally spoke about Diddy and the drama, saying they're no longer together. She even mentioned that they fell in love, which was a pretty surprising twist.
I can't speak on these allegations because I wasn't around at the time. I don't know that person, and that wasn't my experience.
So with you being, I feel like, a survivor of domestic violence, he never hit you in a relationship, he was never violent. Was that something that you had to tolerate, or that wasn't a part of, because I feel like that's the biggest thing to him right now is, what he going through in these lawsuits and, that video that came out.
I've been through domestic violence in 2 relationships. And I told myself, after the second relationship, I would never put myself in that situation again, especially now being that I'm a mom. I was a mother then, but like having a daughter, like I would never put myself in that position. I don't stand for domestic violence. I'm just not going for that.
So do you feel like with dating Diddy, like, was it a business relationship? Do you feel like it was beneficial for you?
I feel like it was beneficial for both of us. I met him at a pee party, and I don't know what his intentions was, but I don't know if it was like business or he really liked me, but I felt like, when he got me, he really saw something in me, and that's why he was like, you know what? You got a big personality. Like, you should do a podcast. Like, you know how to engage in conversations. Like, you know how to ask good questions. So I felt like, I came into his world and I was able to, like, turned everything he had going on up a notch.
Young Miami has officially distanced herself from Diddy, though she's still tied up in that lawsuit and was involved in some of Diddy's questionable activities. So while she's shedding some tears, she's definitely not completely blameless. It's clear she's trying to reset her career by separating from Diddy. Now, what's up with JT? That's the real question. The City Girls, which included Young Miami and JT, pretty much fell apart as they both went solo. The split had a lot to do with ego clashes, financial struggles, and creative differences. Fans and others were pushing them to go solo, and Young Miami started focusing more on her solo career. She was hanging out with Saucy Santana and doing things without JT, who felt left out. JT wanted to keep the group together and work on their music, but Young Miami's growing popularity made people less interested in the City Girls. JT started feeling like no one was paying attention to her. Some people thought JT should go solo because she's a talented rapper, even though she felt abandoned. Interestingly enough, Young Miami and Saucy Santana actually encouraged JT to follow her own solo path, even though she wasn't keen on making music without her. JT mentioned that someone asked her to collaborate on a song, but she was hesitant to do it without Young Miami. Young Miami encouraged her to go ahead and do it, so JT decided she needed to strike out on her own since Young Miami was focused on her solo career. JT going solo was a big move for her, and she seems so much happier now, chasing her own dreams. However, JT going solo probably made Young Miami a bit uneasy. Young Miami was used to being the standout star of the group, even though JT is the stronger rapper. As JT's solo career took off and she started getting more features, it shifted the spotlight away from Young Miami. Young Miami didn't like seeing JT get features, especially since she had been getting plenty of her own without JT. The situation got even more tense when JT landed a feature on Nicki Minaj's Super Freaky Girl remix. Young Miami was upset and didn't defend JT during her Twitter spat with Cardi B, partly because she felt excluded from the remix and thought it was JT's issue to handle. So, Young Miami shared her thoughts, and it didn't sit well with a lot of people because they felt she threw JT under the bus. The two aren't in the best place right now, especially after their social media spat. Although they've made up, things are still a bit tense between them. It seems like there's a lot of ego at play. Both girls want to shine on their own. JT's always wanted to be a rap star, and Young Miami, while not a rapper, wanted her own spotlight and financial success. They both crave attention, and when one starts getting more than the other, it causes issues. Right now, Young Miami might be feeling what JT felt a few years ago when she was overshadowed. As JT makes her solo rise, Young Miami is starting to feel left out and frustrated, especially since the City Girls was her fallback. Young Miami's recent comments have stirred things up, and while some think she was unfair to JT, I understand why she'd want to express her feelings. She did seem to twist a few details, like claiming no one checked on her when JT said she did, and making the Cardi B and JT fight about the Nicki Minaj remix when it was really more personal. Still, it's not easy to open up like that, and I wish her the best as she moves forward. Miami's comments included claims that no one checked on her, which JT disputed, indicating that she had reached out. This discrepancy has led some fans to feel that Miami may have misrepresented certain details of their relationship. Additionally, Miami's remarks about the feud involving Cardi B and JT seemed to shift focus from personal issues to industry conflicts, which some believe diluted the gravity of their situation. So there's been a lot of drama and shifting dynamics in the world of Young Miami and JT. Young Miami's recent separation from Diddy and her comments about JT have stirred up some strong reactions. It's clear there's a lot of ego and ambition at play, with both women trying to carve out their own paths and find their own success. JT's solo career is still on the rise, and it's making Young Miami feel a bit left behind, especially since their group, the City Girls, isn't the focus it once was. Despite the tension and the occasional misstep in how they've handled things, it's important to remember that these are real people dealing with complex emotions and situations. Young Miami's candidness about her feelings, even if it's a bit controversial, shows she's grappling with a lot right now. As they each navigate their careers and personal challenges, we'll have to see how things play out. Stay tuned for more updates, and let's hope for some resolution and growth for both of them.